Family and fellow soldiers, I'm the Professor, and this is the Moment of Truth.
I want to address some recent comments from my friend Roland Martin, who took issue with my thoughts this past weekend on the Justice Department's report on the January 6th Capitol riots in 2021. In summary, I made the connection that Donald Trump appeared to be right to some degree when it came to the conspiracy theories about the FBI's involvement on that day. At least that's how some took it. Well, here's what Roland Martin had to say Monday about my comments.
I know Stephen A. I respect Stephen A. Stephen A., you know sports. On this, you know what the hell you talking about. How he's pissed off and the Democrats and Trump said stuff was rigged. And y'all, MAGA is running that clip everywhere. Oh, they are saying, oh, see, even Stephen, the truth, they all know the truth. Go to my iPad. Associated Press, fact, focus. Inspector General's January 6th report misrepresented as proof of FBI setup.
Couple of things. First off, Roland Martin, nice touch with the cowboy hat. You should wear it more often. It's fitting of you. You are from Texas after all. But nice try. Ain't gonna work this way. Let me show my audience exactly what Roland Martin was replying to when he said, I didn't know what the hell I was talking about. This is what he was responding to that had him all up in a tizzy. Take a listen. The news comes amidst a bombshell report from the Justice Department that revealed the FBI had at least 26 confidential informants on the ground when the Capitol was stormed on January 6, 2021. The report says most of the informants engaged in illegal activity during the chaos. The Justice Department says only 3 of its 26 informants present had been instructed to observe potential domestic terrorist suspects on the day of the riot. The rest of the 23 appeared to have gone to the Capitol on their own accord. First of all, let me say this about Roland Martin. Not hangout buddies or anything like that, but we are friends. He's a guest on this show anytime I ask him to. I respect his knowledge, and he is absolutely right. This is his lane, not mine. Sports is my thing. This is what he does. I get that. But I am allowed to be an expert on what the hell comes out of my mouth and what I believe I said. And that is why I clap back respectfully at my man Roland Martin, not his panelists chirping and mimicking and laughing and giggling in the sideline like anybody know who the hell they are. I ain't talking about them. That's a waste of my time. I'm talking about my brother Roland Martin here.
Well, I guess a bootlick would be an expert on FBI informants, now wouldn't they? Obviously, I'm not going to bore you by giving you a blow-by-blow account of this spitball fight. There really wasn't much to it, but there are some things that need to be said about it, given how some people are reacting to it. First of all, regardless of whether you may or may not agree with one of them or the other, whether you believe that the FBI's presence there was indicative of something or whether it was utterly meaningless, that doesn't change either Stephen Smith or Roly Poly. It certainly shouldn't change how we look at them. You know, the fact is that under white supremacy, there's a lot of fights where there's just nobody to root for. See, that's the problem with white supremacy taking both sides of every argument. It makes it where there's nobody to root for. Though for some strange reason, it does seem like there are some folks who are desperately looking to see if maybe there's somebody who they could root for whatever reason. Talk about grasping at straws. But you know, when I think about these two beefing, I can't help but be reminded of Weird Al Yankovic's Eat It. Yeah, I know it dates me, but so what? In that video parody of Michael Jackson's Beat It, you had 2 gang leaders holding a chicken while they dueled each other with a knife and a fork. Oh, let's be honest. If somebody did make the mistake of grabbing a chicken at the same time as Roland Martin, whoever was holding the other end would draw back a nub. No matter how much dust these two are trying to kick up right now, this is just clout chasing. It stinks of these two basically being in collusion to pretend as if they're having an argument. Remember, most politics is like professional wrestling under white supremacy. Neither one of these guys has anything intelligent or relevant to say. Even those of us commenting on it don't really have much to add on the intelligence of either one of their observations because they didn't really say that much that we hadn't said better. And besides, Stephen Smith is doing the same middle-of-the-road rhetoric and shtick that Charlemagne the Fraud's been doing. Now, Stephen Smith's far better known for screaming and yelling on ESPN, so nobody's bothered to pay attention to his empty political musings, such as they are. And all his pathetic niceties to roly-poly. This is a friend of mine. I know him well. These boule bootlicks are doing their own version of the kind of wink and a nod camaraderie that the white media masters they work for like to do whenever they pretend to be arguing with each other. A lot of people have been trying to make this whole video exchange between Roly-Poly and Stephen Smith into something it's not. This is not some huge beef. In fact, I doubt that it's an argument at all. This sounds and smells like nothing more than the same old political theater that the white media subjects us to on a daily basis. It's just a bit of show put on for the benefit of the ignorant or the bored. Understand something. There's no insight to come from either one of these two clowns, but we really need to be careful how we talk about meaningless dust-ups like this. Because even talking about it gives them something that they couldn't get for themselves, and that is attention from us. Remember, it's your eyes and your ears that chumps like these are fighting over. This is what their arguments are about, to get you to pay attention to them. So that's the reason why I have to step in and tell you that's a bad idea. What you have are two bootlicks playing a game of spitball with each other about how they can lick masses' boots to a mirror shine. And speaking of shines, Roly-Poly's just full-fledged comic relief now. It's finally dawned on this guy that he's never going to work at the White House for any administration. Ever. See, Simone Mamie Sanders gave all these bootlicks false hope. They saw her get out there and lie huge for Zaddy. This talentless nobody, she sold the soap by pushing all Zaddy's lies, and as a result, she got herself a make-work job in the White House basement, not doing anything important, just more of a ceremonial assistant to an assistant role, but it did allow her to claim that she worked at the White House, at least on paper. She got to burnish her resume with that, and even though she was there less than a year, she'll be able to spend the rest of her life making a career out of saying that she had been in the White House, as if she had been there for decades. If any white media outlet is so lacking in talking heads that they put her on the air, I can promise you that 30 years from now, she'll still be talking about how, when I worked at the White House, just milking that 11-month-long summer vacation job for all it's worth. See, that's what Roly-Poly wanted. And Stephen Smith, too. Occasionally, the white media actually have Stephen Smith on to talk about issues that are way out of his wheelhouse. All these bootlicks want a second career. Being taken seriously, that's the second job they wish they could get. Roly-Poly wanted to be in the White House. That's what all of his suck-ups and antics have been geared toward. He danced for Hillary Clinton, then cried like a baby when she lost, though he was in the drive-thru when it happened, so KFC could have run out of sauce packets. Now, ordinarily, I might say something like, what a shame that Stephen Smith didn't take this as an opportunity to say something relevant, but if he was focused on relevance, he wouldn't consider a brainless butt-kisser like Roly-Poly to be his friend. You notice how he kept saying that repeatedly? Well, as I've always told you, around here, we judge people by the company they keep. I would have gotten a kick out of seeing these two have a constant back and forth about which one of them was the most uninformed and ignorant, but an argument like that could literally go on for years. Hell, I would be hard-pressed to tell you which one of them was more stupid than the other. They both yell all the time for no reason. Both of them know better than to directly criticize Massa by name. They'll gripe about a particular party, but you don't call Massa out by name. And they both try to take clout chasing and make it seem like intelligent discourse. But in the end, the only individuals whose interests they're looking out for are their own, and no one else's. Stephen Smith's been feeling his Cheerios ever since last month. He made his little comments about Trump's election victory, and as far as he was concerned, he thinks to himself that he's got some gravitas now. This man's to be taken seriously. When the reality is, he had a take, it got some traction, and that's pretty much as far as it's going to go. But I guess if these guys are trying to extend their 15 minutes of podcasting fame, having back and forth arguments with each other is pretty much the way to go. Roland Martin has been trying to make some sort of career out of e-beefing with people online. Well, I'm not impressed, and you shouldn't be either. Let's be very careful about just how much attention we choose to give to guys like this, because if we're not careful, then we could inadvertently wind up doing the one thing for them that they could never do for themselves. And that's to reach the very black people who tuned them out a long time ago. Good day, and be one. I'd like to take a moment to mention some of our contributors. Daryl, Frederica Moore, Mark Stroud, Troy Joyner, and Deep I-904. Salute to them and thank you to everyone for listening, liking, and sharing this message. Black empowerment only exists because of you.